Welcome back to my channel. So today we'll continue with the lesson Karna. If you have not watched the first part, I request you to please go back to my video. So we'll start with the part 2. Indra foresaw that a supreme contest was inevitable between his son Arjuna and Karna, and he put on the garb of a Brahmin and came to Karna, who was reputed for his charity, and begged of him his earrings and armor. The sun god had already warned Karna in his dream that Indra would try to deceive him in this manner. Still, Karna could not bring himself to refuse any gift that was asked of him. Hence, he cut off the earrings and armor with which he was born and gave them to the Brahmana. So, in the first part, you have already come across Indra. Indra is the thunder god. He saw that this supreme contest was inevitable. So, inevitable means that it is unavoidable between Arjuna and Karna. So, he put on the garb of a Brahmin. So, what is garb? So, garb means that he dressed up like a Brahmin, and he came to Karna. And what did he do? He begged or he asked for his earrings and armor. And Karna was of such a character that he could never say no to anyone. He was known for his charity, and the sun god had already warned Karna. He had already given a warning to Karna, say in his dream, saying that Indra would try to deceive him in the same manner. He was already told about this, but still Karna could not refuse any gift that was asked of him. He was always known for his charity, so he could not say no. So he cut off the earrings and the armor with which he was born and he gave it to the Brahmana. Indra, the king of gods, was filled with surprise and joy. After accepting the gift, he praised Karna as having done what no one else would do, and shamed into generosity, bade Karna ask for any boon he wanted. Karna replied, I desire to get your weapon, the Sakti, which has the power to kill enemies. Indra granted the boon, but with a fateful proviso. He said, You can use this weapon against but one enemy, and it will kill him, whosoever he may be. But this killing done, this weapon will no longer be available to you, but will return to me. With these words, Indra disappeared. Now, Indra, he was so happy and he was surprised that he gave such a thing. So, after accepting that gift, he praised Karna as having done what no one else could have. And he felt ashamed also because of the generosity that Karna had. He gave him a wish, saying that he could ask anything that he wanted, what he desired. So, Karna replied that he desired a weapon, and it was your weapon, his weapon. And what was that weapon called? The Shakti, the Sakti. So that weapon had the power to kill enemies. So Indra, he granted that wish. He accepted it, but he gave a fateful proviso. He gave a condition. He said, You can use this weapon against but one enemy. He can use that weapon only for one enemy and it will kill him, whosoever he may be. Whoever you use it, that person will die for sure. But this killing done, once you use that, that weapon will no longer be with you. It will return to me. That is, once you use it, it will vanish and it will come back to me. And saying these words, Indra disappeared from there. Extract from an earlier chapter. Karna went to Parashurama and became his disciple by representing to him that he was a Brahmana. He learned from Parashurama the mantra for using the master weapon known as Brahmastra. One day, Parashurama was reclining with the head on Karna's lap when a stinging worm burrowed into Karna's thigh. Blood began to flow, and the pain was terrible. But Karna bore it without tremor, lest he should disturb the master's sleep. Parashurama awoke and saw the blood which had poured from the wound. He said, "Dear pupil, you are not Brahmana. A Kshatriya alone can remain unmoved under all bodily torments. Tell me the truth." Now there is an extract from an earlier chapter. Okay, we'll take a previous chapter from the Mahabharata. So here it is a instance where Karna was a disciple of Parashurama. So Karna went to Parashurama and he wanted to be his student. So he disguised himself as a Brahmana and he went and started learning something from Parashurama. And what did he learn there? He learned how to use the mantra for the master weapon known as Brahmastra. He wanted to learn that. So one day what happened was Parashurama, he was sleeping on Karna's lap and Karna was just sitting without moving. So all of a sudden there was a stinging worm. It just came and bit Karna's thigh. So blood began to flow. The pain was very terrible. Karna did not move an inch. He controlled the pain and the blood was still flowing. He did not move. Why? Because he did not want to trouble or disturb his master's sleep because Parashurama was sleeping on his lap. As soon as Parashurama woke up, he saw the blood which had poured out from the wound, from the bite that the worm had given to Karna. And looking at that, immediately Parashurama says, "Dear student, you are not a Brahmin. Only a Kshatriya can control that much of pain in any condition. So you tell me the truth, who you are." Karna confessed that he had told a lie in presenting himself as a Brahmana and that he was in fact the son of a charioteer. Parashurama, in his anger, pronounced this curse on him. "Since you deceived your Guru, the Brahmastra you have learnt shall fail you at the fated moment. You will be unable to recall the invocatory mantra when your hour comes." So Karna confessed. He said the truth that he had lied and he was not a Brahmana and he was just a son of a charioteer. So Parashurama was very angry at this and he cursed him. He cursed Karna, saying that you deceived your Guru, you lied to your Guru, you cheated your Guru. So the Brahmastra that you have learned, it will fail you when you require it the most and you will be unable to recall the mantra when that time comes. When you're about to use it, you will forget the mantra and it will not come to you. You will forget it, it will fail you. Karna and the grandsire, when he learned that Bhishma lay wounded and dying, Karna hurried to the place and fell at his feet and said, "Eldest of the race, Radha's son, who, through no fault of his, incurred your great displeasure, humbly prostrates himself before you." When after humble salutation Karna stood up, the grandsire, greatly moved, tenderly placed his hand on Karna's head and blessed him. "You are not Radha's son, young man," he said in loving tones. "You are Kunti Devi's own firstborn. Narada, who knows all the secrets of the world, himself revealed this to me. Son of Surya, truly I entertained no dislike for you, but I was grieved to see your increasing hatred of the Pandavas, although they gave you no cause for it. I know and admire your valor and your open handedness. And I know also that you belong to the class of Falguna and Krishna in prowess. It is proper that you befriend the Pandavas. Therein lies the right path for you. Who is their brother? With the closing of my part in this war, may the chapter of your enmity also close. This is my wish, Karna. So here now we'll move on to the another chapter, a part of it. So here you come to know that it is a conversation between Karna and the grandsire. The grandsire is none other than Bhishma. So Bhishma was wounded and he was about to die. So Karna comes there to meet him and they have a conversation. So as soon as Karna comes there, he falls onto his feet and he wishes him, he gives his salutation. He humbly prostrates himself before Bhishma. So after this humble salutation, he stands up and Bhishma was so happy and glad. He had too much of love towards Karna at that time and he moves his hand on Karna's head and he blesses him. And then he says, "You are not Radha's son." Now, who is Radha? Radha was the foster mother of Karna, that is Adhiratha's wife, who looked after Karna as a child. So here Bhishma is telling the truth now. So he tells, and he says this in a very loving tone. So he says, "You are not Radha's son. You are Kunti Devi's own firstborn, Narada." Now, who is Narada? He is known to know all the secrets of the world. So he himself came and told Bhishma about this truth. And son of Surya, you are the son of the sun god. And I didn't have any dislike towards you. But I felt very sorry whenever I used to see that increasing hatred that you had towards the Pandavas. And I know and admire your valor, your strength, and your open handedness, your kindness. I admire that. And I also know that you belong to the class of Falgun and Krishna in power. And it is better you be with the Pandavas because that is the right path for you because they are your brothers. And with this, I want you to end the enmity. This is what I wish for you. Karna listened respectfully and replied, "Grandsire, I know I am Kunti's son and not charioteer born, but I have eaten Duryodhana's salt and must be true to him, to be true to my own lineage. It is impossible for me to go over to the Pandavas now. You must permit me to repay with my life, if it so be, the debt I owe to Duryodhana for his love and trust. I have erred greatly in word and deed. You must forgive me for it all and give me your blessings." The great Acharya, who knew all the laws of right conduct, reflected for a while on what Karna said and replied, "Do then as you wish, for that is the right way." Karna listens respectfully, he doesn't stop him. And after the grandsire had finished, he says, "Grandsire, he knows that he is Kunti's son and not charioteer born. He knew the truth." And then he tells, "But I have eaten Duryodhana's salt." That is, Duryodhana was the one who looked after me. The Kauravas, they have looked after me. They are the ones who looked after me, and I must be true to them. I cannot just leave them. I have to be loyal towards them, and it is impossible for me to go to the Pandavas now. You should respect whatever I choose. That is, I am asking you the permission to repay with my life, if it be so. That is, I am ready to even die because I owe to Duryodhana for his love and trust. The love and trust that Duryodhana has given me. I have done a lot of wrong in my words or in my deeds. You must forgive me for it and give me your blessings." So the great Acharya Bhishma, he knew all the laws of the right conduct. So he kept quiet for some time, he thought about it, and then he said, "Do as you wish, because that is the right way." Bhishma gave his blessings to Karna. "You are like the good earth to the seeds, like rain clouds to living beings, ever dependable, firm in your loyalty. Serve Duryodhana and save him." Karna, having received the benediction of the grandsire, mounted his chariot and rode to the battlefield. When the valorous Karna entered the field on his war chariot, Duryodhana's joys knew no bounds. His sorrow at having lost Bhishma was in some degree alleviated. So Bhishma, he gave his blessings to Karna, and then he says that you are like the good earth. He is just praising him because of his loyalty, the kindness that he has. And then he tells, serve Duryodhana and save him. So he knows what Karna is, the character, the good character that Karna had. Now, Karna, after receiving the blessings from the grandsire, he sat on his chariot and he came back to the battlefield. And when the courageous Karna entered the field, Duryodhana, when he saw him, he knew no bounds. He was so happy and proud that his sorrow that he had of losing Bhishma was in some degree alleviated. That was in another part or in another universe. But when he saw Karna over there coming back, the love and trust, the respect that he had, it was immense.